Hi, I'm Rolf Perelius with Shooter's Paradise. Let's talk about dry fire. We need to make sure that we're being safe when we dry fire because we're actually pulling the trigger on a gun in our house. It'd be horrible if that gun went off. So let's look at 5 rules to ensure that nothing bad happens as we dry fire. The first rule is to always follow the safety rules. That's correct. We don't ever violate those safety rules. First rule, always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. We'll talk more about that in a second. The second rule, always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And the third rule is always keep the gun unloaded until you're ready to use it. Those 3 rules always apply. There's never a time when we do not apply those 3 rules. Now, our second dry fire safety rule is have no ammunition, live ammunition, in the room. That's correct. We don't want to have any live ammunition in the room where we're doing the dry fire. Ammunition has a way of finding its way into guns. We want to remove that possibility as best we can by not having it in the room. Our third dry fire rule is to have a proper backstop. That's right, we want a backstop behind our target that will stop a bullet that might come from that gun. So if we're dry firing and we have no ammunition in the room, why do we want that? Well, we want it because I'm a human being, and maybe one day that backstop will need to stop a real live round because maybe one day I'll have an accident. Absolutely right. So what's an acceptable backstop? Well, an acceptable backstop would be if you have a brick fireplace. That'd be a good backstop. A bookcase chock full, packed airtight with books and magazines so there's no air space whatsoever and it's just packed tight. A piece of steel that you've purchased from your local material supplier. That might, 3/8 plate, steel plate, 1/2 inch steel plate. A piece of that might work well. How about body armor? That's right, we can use the plate in body armor as a safe backstop to dry fire against. A bucket full of sand can be made to work. Bricks, buy some bricks at the local home improvement store and stack them up on the wall or on a table. There's a bunch of different things we can do to make a safe direction that will stop a projectile if we ever needed it to. The fourth rule for dry fire is when we use dummy ammunition, we use dummy ammunition that is obviously dummy ammunition. It does not look like real ammunition at all. It's very tempting for those of us that reload to take a spent case, simply leave a primer and gunpowder out of it, and press a bullet into it for dummy ammunition. The problem with that is it can be mistaken for live ammo, and live ammo can be mistaken for it. Remember we talked about maybe one day I'll have an accident. That's a good way to have an accident. So buy dummy ammunition that's bright orange or red plastic, or perhaps the maroon colored aluminum dummy ammunition. Get dummy ammunition that actually looks like dummy ammo, and it does not look at all like live ammo. And then the fifth rule is when we're finished with our dry fire exercise, we say out loud to ourselves, I am done dry firing, and then we leave the room. This is very important because we've just been doing this exercise where we pull the gun out and practice and we do all this practice stuff. We need to make a clear-cut break because you see, it's possible for my subconscious brain to do things that I'm not aware of. That's right. Have you ever been driving your car and then all of a sudden said, wait a second, I don't know how I got here? That's your subconscious brain doing the job of driving that car from the time that you don't remember until you got to where you were and you finally realized, holy cow, I've been driving and I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. If your subconscious brain can do that, it absolutely can pull the gun out and press the trigger one more time. So we want to audibly, verbally, out loud say, I am done dry firing. Dry fire practice is over. And then physically leave the room. And I wouldn't go back into the room for 15 minutes or so. So our 5 rules here for Dryfire can make Dryfire a very safe experience. The first one is always follow the safety rules. The second one is no live ammunition in the room. The third one is use a proper backstop. The fourth one is use only obvious dummy ammunition. And the fifth one is when you're finished, say, I'm finished with Dryfire, and then leave the room. So don't ever break these rules. That's how we prevent accidents from happening. And I would encourage you that if you're using a SIRT pistol or some other kind of pistol that is made to replicate your real gun, but it's not a functioning firearm, it might shoot laser or something else, airsoft, something like that, I would caution you, don't break those rules because you're using a look-alike for a gun. I would follow those rules even though I was doing that, because your subconscious brain and body will recognize that feels exactly the same. And we don't want to create a situation where we're developing a habit to do something that would be in violation of our rules. So I hope that's helpful. I would strongly consider doing this as I Dryfire, because it would be really unfortunate to have to do some household repairs and it'll scare the dickens out of you. And the worst case scenario is somebody could get seriously hurt. Thanks a lot. We appreciate you guys. See you later.